comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. And then the last one, OPT in the OPT construction fund. So it's an appropriation also. Entertain a motion.
Offer motion.
Second. Motion by Hauser, second by Lang. Additional questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation amount of $56,270.18.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members, this was inadvertently, this funds were transferred to the city. They should not have been. Therefore, we are going to send them back to the county where they do belong.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. We charge them a holding fee. Any questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the request for appropriation in the amount of $200,000.
Yeah, this is, as you know, we collect for Jet Z1, Jet Z2, and JET. And this is to the 930 JET account, which is a relationship with Metaspla. It hasn't generated a bunch over the years. They finally got a business in there at the end of last year that is generating revenue. So it was kind of totally unexpected, and we can't over budget for something we didn't know, but it's collecting now. So it's time to put, it's money in and money out. So it isn't affect general fund at all, but this is so we can do distributions of the more than generous collection that start to bid.
And we do get.
But we get pieces of it, absolutely.
Yeah,
We get percentages of it for
so-
collection fee and a little bit for the city, just for the oversight fee, so absolutely.
Motion by Lang.
Second.
Second by Hauser. Questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Newark to submit an application to the Ohio Office of Budget and Management for the Ohio Ambulance Transportation Impacted Industry Program.
This is an ARPA funded program. The city is eligible to submit an application.
Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. Well, assuming since it's ARPA, there's no matching or anything, it's just,
Well, this particular one does not have a match.
okay, very good. I see you do want the 2-day renewal waves. Any questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $2,187.77.
Good evening. This is a request for appropriation for fire department overtime funds for an attendant truck club.
Motion. Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. Any questions and or comments? This Sunday night, fabulous fireworks display at the Trout Club. So. Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $2,127.72.
Yes, sir. This is money that the police department received from the state for their continuing professional training.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Lang, second by Hauser. Questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, send us on the full council, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. With that, this finance committee meeting stands adjourned. Next up is service.
Hill Cloud Service Committee meeting to order, those present, myself, Brad, Neely, Foss, Lyon, and Troop. Up first, resolution 24-54, a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to participate in the ODOT winter contract 018-25 for road salt and declaring an emergency in the hottest day of the year. I'm sure you're gonna make sense of it.
Just want to have the authority to enter into the salt contract next winter. Looks like we want to get about 500 tons, and the reason for the emergency is we need to meet the deadline, so.
That was my biggest question, was the emergency reason. Any questions from the committee? Motion by Fox. Second by Lyon. Questions from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor, send this on to council, signify by saying aye. Close same sign. That'll pass with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Up next, we'll have resolution 24-58, a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service of the City of Newark, Ohio, to purchase 2 used street sweepers for the stormwater utility without competitive bidding.
Good evening. Kind of speaking on behalf of myself and Mr. Moorhead, he's, today. So the city currently has a street sweeper that is in need of replacement. It's 12 or 13 years old. As part of our stormwater utility, we're required to sweep the streets, clean the catch basins. I've got a list here. We got over 530 miles of roads, 6,180 catch basins that are responsible to maintain and clean and remove that potential stormwater pollution. So started the discussion and investigation replacing the street sweeper, and found that a new street sweeper is approximately $450,000 on the cheap side. So started doing a little more digging and found a used or some used street sweepers from a company called. They basically buy used military equipment, refurbish it and resell it. Truck Site is the name. And so looked into that a little further. Buster and maintenance staff in the street department went and visited the units, looked at them, test drove them, operated them, and we're interested in trying to purchase 2 used street sweepers. They're in the ballpark of $175,000 a piece instead of the $450 that we're looking to buy 1 new unit. They're approximately 11 years old. They're 2011s or 12s. They've only got about 70 operating hours on them. They were at a military airport, and so they're like brand new. Buster's here if you have any other questions, what they saw when they did inspect them. But we've got stormwater funding to purchase them, and we've also got service directors going to try to get $100,000 of the ARP funding to purchase the other one. So funding is placed in the stormwater. We would have to appropriate the ARP money for that, but just looking for your approval and kind of answer any questions.
The reason we're waiving the competitive bidding is because this is a specific company that.
Correct. There are multiple, as we did a little research, there are a lot of companies that sell used equipment. These were such good shape, you know, that they're like brand new. It's kind of amazing. They were military color, they repainted them white, so they're gonna look basically just like the ones that you see driving around the streets now. So thought it was a very good investment, and I think they did it a few years ago on an ambulance or fire truck, and had good success with it here in the city as well.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Do we have two now? You said we have one that went bad.
We do have two. We're going to replace the one. The other one is just going to be an extra one that we can operate at any given time. They were in such good shape and such a good deal. So I think that's up for debate on whether, you would like to purchase one or two, but we're recommending purchasing the two of them.
Okay, the two of them run at the same time sometimes?
Yeah.
Sure.
You were talking about 70 hours of use on them, on the ones that we have. We into.
Got on our current?
No, these were military used on their air bases for their. So they have very little hours.
So you say ours have thousands.
Yeah. That's, then you got the component motor from the suite.
So there's engine hours and there's drive hours and there's the operating hours of the actual vacuum unit. That's what has 70 hours. So, I mean, they collect the debris inside the dumpster basically. And, what they saw is there's the paint still on there. So they haven't even already been used. It's kind of.
If there's street sweeping in an airport, I would assume that there be other hours on the other aspects. Machine are going to be very limited because they really don't have footing. Other than, unlike us driving around the city.
I can get you that information. It had it. I'm going to say less than a couple hundred hours total of other operating hours. So, yeah.
Sorry. Any other questions, Mr. Judy? Questions from the audience?
Brandon, is there any time frame that you're working within to make that purchase?
Good question. We do have a deposit, put $1,000 deposit in the hold, that if we don't purchase them, we'll get that money back, but they are holding those units for us. We did not put this through as emergency. We've got funding, so we're just asking for the normal process to make it happen. I don't know if there was any other information on that as far as full times.
No, they're just kind of the conversation back and forth between Lindsay and I and email. They was waiting.
Well, if we can get two rock solid used units for $100,000 less than we can get one brand new unit for, it sounds like a great deal to me.
Yep.
Makes absolute sense. Would anybody else agree with me? I'd like to make a motion.
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Neely, seconded by Klein. Good motion by everybody. Any other questions? From anybody anywhere?
Not really a question. I just noticed how some cities are using vehicles they have as multi-purpose units. Like they're able to take off the brushes and apply other uses, whether it's a scraper or something for off-season. Is that a possibility with these since they were military?
Yes, sir.
No? Okay.
I will speak, these do have a vacuum. Our Stern doesn't have a vacuum on the back, so we have a vacuum truck also, but these have a vacuum on the back that they can back up to a, suck up leaves or go into a catch basin and suck it out as well. So it's a little bit more dual purpose.
Yeah.
Than what we have. Yeah, flexible hose on the back.
Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, all those in favor, on the council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign, that'll pass with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And stay right there. And you're going to be able to give us an update on your water projects.
Okay, so wanted to do this last month, but we were a little busy last month, so I think Mr. Loomis used to do this, so he's been gone since April. It's been over a year, so hard to believe, so I wanted to provide a little update to all of our water and sewer projects for you all and answer any questions you might have. We've got a lot going on, as you know, in the water and sewer department, so try to just breeze through this. I don't want to take too much time. Fourth Street Sewer Separation Project, that was the project that basically went up Fourth Street all the way from the river up, Locust and put the 5 Points roundabout in. That project is wrapping up. We've got just a few punch list items and probably one more pay app to finalize that project. Cost just over 27 million. So we'll hopefully be getting that project closed out, here, in the near future of 2024. And that was about our third phase of our long-term control plan project, CSO subdivision. East side water transmission line is the 16-inch water main that we put in, from Dayton Road, up Dayton where Wendy's is, up Dayton Road to Butler Road, and connected the loop out there. That was all funded through Ohio Department of Development grant. So the $4.3 million engineering, construction management, and construction has been all grant funded for that. That project, we've been out that way. The water line is in. It's been in service for about 4 months. Now they're working on the landscaping and getting all the grass growing and touch-up items on driveways and approaches and road. We are also paving a lot of that area out there in cooperation with the county, because that is in the county. To be completely done here in the second quarter of 2020. That will also provide a second connection point for the Lakeland Valley Water District that the council approved several months ago. So they're going to be connecting at Butler Road and Dayton Road and also East Main Street. So they'll have a valve vault there and a master meter that the water will go east out in the service. Dornwood Fadeye Booster Station. This is an improvement to our current second pressure zone out on the west side. So there's currently a water booster station at Thornwood on River Road there, where the construction is and the roundabout is occurring. We are adding a second booster station at Fay Drive, Thornwood. You drive out that way, you see that building is there. We're getting that pump station in service. Once that station's in service, we'll be taking down the Thornwood booster station and replacing it as well. So we'll basically have 2 pump stations that are redundant there to service that area out there. As you know, it's growing and we'll be able to provide quality service. We also replaced about 1,200 feet of some old cast iron water lines in the ground, and that was 12-inch duct. So that should allow that to tie in nicely with 2 new booster stations. Lead service lines. We talked about that, but we are lead service lines projects 1 through 3 are complete. We did about 700 galvanized or non-copper, non-plastic services. That was kind of the start. We used some ARP funding for that initially, and then we also, the number 3 project was OWDA funded. So as you can see out of that, almost $4 million, we're going to have to pay back about 800,000 of that, 0% interest. So those projects kind of allow us to learn what we're doing. So now we're working on projects 4 and 5. Those number 4 is working currently. We're working on Hudson, Mouse Street area, and Mount Vernon Road. So number 5, we're hoping to award the end of June. So we'll have 2 projects working, a total of about 1,100 services. So once those 2 projects are done, we'll have about 1,800 to 1,900 services out of the 5,000 to 6,000 we have to do in the city. Again, we are borrowing money through WDA at a 47% payback. So for every dollar, I only have to pay back 47 cents of that at 0% interest. It's still a really good deal, and they're going to be Ohio EPA is going to be funding that program for the next 4 years. So we're trying to get as much of that money as we can.
Brandon, if I can ask you a question, you said, projects 1, 2, 3 are completed, you can get 700 services. What's the percentage of services that should have been done versus services completed? And the reason they're not me,
Ask more. Can you clarify that?
yeah, don't we have some people that one have,
Yeah.
won't sign the agreement?
Yeah, good question.
On their property.
Yes. So those services we completed on people that had signed up for that replacement. The next 400 that we initiated, the contractor we gave, or 500, contractor we gave them 250 services that we hadn't signed agreements with. The other 250, they have to go knock on doors and actually get those agreements signed. So we've probably got 5 to 700 services in hand that people have signed up for, that we're still working through that, under these number 4 and 5 projects. So if a resident has signed up to have their service replaced, and they have a question of when they're gonna be replaced, please reach out to our office, to our office.
My question is, in project 1, 2, and 3, we did 700 services.
Yep.
How many services were eligible to be done?
I'm going to say probably 1,100 to 1,200. So now those extra
We're
ones,
getting about 70%.
well, yeah, and so we're hitting them as that first come, first served. So if these people signed up in 2020, those were the first ones that got replaced. Yep, and then we also prioritize for leaks. So if somebody comes in and has a leaking service, we'll prioritize that to the top of the list and try to get that done within 5 days.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, just information, that if you do have a galvanized service, if you don't know if you have a galvanized service, reach out to us. Go online and type in on the website, type in lead, L-E-A-D, and it'll take you to the lead service line website that you can fill out an online form. We'll have a technician come out and review your service to make sure it's plastic, galvanized, copper, whatever it is. So we've got 6 more of those to do. We're hopefully about 12 projects to go to one. UV upgrade, the wastewater plant. This project was completed February of this year. It's about a $5 million project. We replaced the UV equipment that was over 20 years old out there, as well as all of the PLCs and the programmable logic controllers in the plant to basically help operate all of the other equipment in the plant. Raccoon Creek Stream Bank project. This was a cooperative effort between the Army Corps of Engineers and the city. So right there at Church Street, if you see there's a spillway, Raccoon Creek that was redone. We basically paid that 33% of that, or 35% of that project. And that was completed late last fall. The flood in April seemed to work. So we have, I think, a 2-year time frame on that project. So that until they actually come back and verify that, yes, it's meeting the requirements that they set forth, that being the Army Corps of Engineers. Water treatment plant instrumentation upgrade. So this is another PLC. As you know, your cell phone in your pocket lasts about 2 years and it's obsolete, right? So all of our electronic equipment in our plants is the same way. So this project was updating a lot of the monitoring and PLC and SCADA equipment within the plant, adding some new instrumentation and monitoring in the river. So that in the river, when we have a mud event or rain event, we can tell it quicker and the plant staff can respond and make treatment changes so that they know what they're doing to help remove the solids and things that are in the water. South Second Street. So that's the one that just got started. The bridge down to the river, Second Street and National Drive. It's again, I remind everyone that project was originally about a $25 million project. And it came back at about $14 million bid. So we're very fortunate with Ivel. They're doing a great job so far. But that is another long-term control plan project that is slated to be completed late next year. There's some coordination, as I said last meeting, there's some coordination between the Army Corps of Engineers that has to happen in order to run our new storm and sanitary lines through the flood wall. So the project is proceeding, but there'll be a lot of work in for the next year and a half. River Road Sewer. This is another one that we were waiting. We had $3 million set aside from the ARP money that actually Roger Loomis has put in place before he left. And we didn't have, the project did not get completed on, as it was expected to in the time frame it was expected to. So now we've got an estimate of about $4.4 million to complete that project. It's basically, there's a pump station at Park Trails, and that sewage is pumped under pressure over Thornwood Drive. And we would be replacing that pump station with a gravity sewer. That would allow that all to drain by gravity if any future development happens. So I did submit that for a Ohio Department of Development grant in February. I've not heard back if we've got that grant yet. As soon as we do, if we got the grant, we'll move forward with getting it bid as soon as possible. If we don't get the grant, we're going to have to discuss, we've got some ARP money that's still unallocated in the water department that we may use to help fund that. 16 North project. This is a preliminary design. This is the big project. They've all been big so far, but this is the monstrous project. So estimated about $85 million currently. It has to be completed by June of 2028 as far as BPA orders. It will basically replace all of the storm, sanitary, and water lines in Hudson, Mount Vernon Road area, from 16 North up to Stevens, yeah, Shields area. And it's gonna be a big project. So we are in design of that, hopefully, go to bid next year and see where that comes in. We're hoping that that comes back cheaper like the Second Street project did, but stay tuned for that, and it will be a lot of coordinated efforts, you know, just like we did on Second Street. Hopefully we have a lot of feedback from the community and try to make this as painless as possible. Spillway, as you see up the Licking River Dam spillway up on Waterworks Road. So this was a project that Ohio Department of Natural Resources is requiring us to do as flood protection for the dam, so that we don't erode the dam overflow on the east side of the dam during flood conditions. So in partnership with Engineers Office, as part of this roundabout that's being built up there, we're actually going to do this project as part of that. So that come in a little bit above our engineer's estimate, but we are moving forward with that, and we've got basically some bond note money that we're spending on. That will be completed by this fall as part of the roundabout work with Layton. Just a couple of things on, you know, the water and sewer discussions that are happening in Lincoln County. We kicked off a water system capacity study last year, and that is just basically looking at the capacity of the water plant, the capacity of the North Fork of the Lincoln River, and if we need to, you know, maintain our current capacity of 15 million gallons at the water plant, what does that look like? Or if we need to expand, what does that look like? And where, you know, if there's water in the river to create some expansion possibilities. So that project is ongoing. We're hoping to have that by fall of this year. We'll definitely share that information. Water asset management plan. So that was the same. This was a requirement of us to get the lead service line funding through Ohio EPA. This project was about $400,000, but it basically gave us a roadmap and evaluated every asset in the water plant and in the distribution system. And what we found was about 40% of our assets at the water plant were at or near failure. So that's kind of a scary thing, but it's a good thing because it also provides a roadmap for us moving forward so that we know where we need to go and putting a little project together to replace some assets at the plant. In conjunction with that is a wastewater system master plan. So same thing with the wastewater plant. We currently treat about 8 million gallons a day, and we're rated at about 8 million gallons a day. So we don't have a whole lot of dry weather flow capacity at the wastewater plant. So this project is, we're just getting ready to select an engineer to do this over about the next 6 to 9 months, and they'll basically evaluate the wastewater plant. It hasn't been done for over 20 years. So we'll basically kind of look at the assets from a high level, look at our MORPC growth projections of the city, and try to provide some direction and guidance over the next 5 to 20 years as to, you know, improvements we might need to do at the wastewater plant. So like I said, that's hoping to be completed by the end of this year. I added some on here that are non-capital projects on the last 2 pages. I won't share all of those, but just a couple of things that I wanted to share. Water tower painting, we also submitted that one for a grant this year. It's about a $400,000 project. It will drain that tower, sandblast it, paint it. So hopefully we get that award. Gregory Drive and Britton Drive. That's another one. That's an unsewered area that we're looking to add sanitary sewer to. The health department has identified that as a critical area that, you know, they have small parcels and a lot of failing septic systems up there. So about a $3.7 million project, and hopefully we get some money from that as the grant project. The rest of those are just long-term projects that we've kind of got laid out in the near future. So that's a lot. Any questions I can help answer on any of that stuff?
Oh, thank you so much. You look like you're bored.
Right. Nothing to do.
Any questions for the committee? Any questions at all? Brandon, I appreciate your time and your efforts, and obviously, in all seriousness, you have a great responsibility. A lot to do, and we appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, service committee meeting will stand adjourned. Up next will be economic development. Brandon, you have a question for us? I'll go on.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave, this is economic development. Yeah. It's like, yeah. I mean, if you want to present this. It's like for that. Oh, do they both say following service? Yeah. I should live in capital. Yeah, I'll roll here.
Before we open the Economic Development Committee, I feel that I need to make a statement. I've never been in favor of legalizing marijuana. I'll make that very clear. However, the citizens of Ohio made it very clear that they want it to be. And we're gonna support that. That's our voters, that's what they've decided. And tonight, our committee is going to examine how to regulate the procedures and the processes to make this work smoothly and to keep Newark citizens safe and secure, and that I can support. Let's start economic development. We have myself, we have Mr. Hauser, Lang, Labuda. We have ordinance number 24-18, an ordinance amending portions of the current articles of the zoning code of the city of Newark, adopted May 5th, 2009 by ordinance 08-33A and September 5th, 2023 by ordinance 23-22A, and implementing additional articles of the zoning code of the city of Newark, Ohio.
Mr. Chair, yeah, thank you. So I wanted to present this to the committee for consideration. This is zoning updates. For the most part, there's one thing I'll mention separately that doesn't have anything to do with the adult use cannabis facilities. But by and large, the rest of this is intended to essentially follow what we did with medical marijuana dispensaries, cultivators, growers, with a few updates, and I'll explain that to the committee. We've made conditional use, so permitted and conditional uses, right? So anywhere we put zoning where we allow something as a permitted use, if you're operating under that, you can proceed. If we make it a conditional use, then you have to go through the Board of Zoning Appeals, where they can apply additional restrictions on your business and hear, talk through any concerns, have a public hearing, allow, anybody nearby to come by and offer their comments. So we've also expanded on the state's requirements. So the state has a requirement 500 feet away from any school, church, park, library. There's a few other categories, but kind of the things you might expect. So we expand on that just like we did with medical. So we've pushed that out to a 1,000 foot buffer. We do allow the Board of Zoning, just as they can with medical, to reduce that to 750 feet with as a variance and going through that process. So we've added the dispensaries as a conditional use for medium business intensity, similar to where we start the medical dispensaries. They start at the medium business intensity, and then basically going on up from there in increasing intensity. So the general philosophy, right, is we start with if something's permitted in the a particular lower intensity district, then we allow it all the way up the stream to the higher intensity. So then for cultivators and growing facilities, we've allowed those in the, where do we start? The limited industrial district and going on up from there. We also have prohibited them, any of these facilities, from the downtown district. And I know I'm going through a lot of different things here. There's a big map. We've got copies. I do want to thank Ryan Shearer from our engineering department. It's a very laborious process to go through. And all of those green dots he's got to go through, those all represent a school, park, church, somewhere where a facility couldn't go. So any of the areas that are blotted out in green on that map are areas where we would not be able to put one of these facilities. So again, it's a very manual process. We don't think there's 100% of the green dots captured on this map, but this map itself is not a definitive map. So as part of the conditional use process, when you go to the Board of Zoning, the applicant is going to have to show that they are not within 1,000 feet of any school, park, church, et cetera. So it'll be on the applicant to show that. So it'll be a more detailed review by project, but that map is kind of there to give us a general sense of where these properties would be permitted. I know I talked a lot. I'm sure people have questions. I would like to just go ahead and make a motion. We adopt ordinance 2418 on to the full council, and we can certainly discuss more. And happy to answer any questions.
We have a motion to a second.
Mr. Chair, I have some questions. So lot in there.
You got a motion without a second, you can't get a without a second.
Second. Thank you. Thank you.
There was a lot in there. So what exactly are we amending?
So we're amending we're amending our zoning code. We're adding adult use dispensaries as a conditional use to medium intensity business district, high intensity business district, general business district, limited commercial district, general commercial district, limited industrial district, and general industrial district. We're adding processors and growers as conditional uses to all of those districts I just named, with the exception of, let's see, the general commercial district and the limited commercial district, general business, and high and medium business. So the cultivators and growers are at the higher levels.
LIG. Okay, and other than that, we haven't changed like the exclusion zones.
So the locations speak for themselves, right? So in the legislation, we say they have to be at least 1,000 feet from any, let me just read it, from any property having situated on it a school, church, public library, public playground, public park, or community addiction services. And that last one's defined under the Ohio Revised Code. So the map, like I said, those green dots are, Ryan did a great job trying to capture but he has to go through, so again, it's just meant to give us a rough idea.
They were the same as they were for medical.
Yeah, it's the same, yes, same list of types of properties.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Thanks, Jonathan, for presenting on that. Question I have is, so we have 3 facilities that obviously are permitted medically at this point. Can you walk me through, if you're aware of the procedure would be, if we do pass this or don't, for their process to move forward to get licensing, assuming we adopt some sort of license procedure in the future. Can you walk me through that?
Sure. So each of the 3 medical dispensaries, and I know our law director's here, so please correct me if I'm incorrect on the process, but my understanding is the existing zoning applications for each of those 3 medical dispensaries include in it a restriction that prohibits them from selling recreational at that location. So as it stands, all 3 of them would need to come back, and they would need to go through the Board of Zoning and do a new application to get that removed. So, and then add adult use as the permitted use or conditional use for their property.
Gotcha. So they could take that route regardless of whether this is moving forward, I guess. I'm just trying to, if we don't move this forward, what would be their process?
If we don't move this forward, they are not permitted to engage in adult use dispensing under the new issue 2 Ohio Revised Code. And, unless there's something done at the state level, which I don't have any indication they would be doing that, but this provides clarity that we're putting them into these same zones where the medical dispensaries were permitted.
Well, question for you, but all right. question I have on that is, do you concur, I guess, that if we didn't move this forward, that 3 medical facilities would not be able to move forward? Is that?
There would be no permission for them to exist in any of those because there's no adult use in our city.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions from the committee? Any questions from the audience?
Thank you. I have a question. Love what you've done. Everything looks great. The only exception to that is that at 17 North Chalfont, there is a school there. And currently it's on the map as a permitted location. So I would ask that the map be revised at your name.
Mr. Chair, if I may respond. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate the calling that. So that is down, it's kind of the southwest area there. It would chop off, it would put another green dot over an area of medium and limited business intensity, kind of down on that southwest end. But again, if there was ever a facility going through, this map is not going to be what we rely on, to make sure that they're allowed. They're going to have to go through it property by property within that 1,000-foot radius.
Can I correct something that I told you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Pursuant to 378025 of the Highway Code, while the legislative authority may adopt an ordinance prohibiting or limiting the number of adult use cannabis operators, existing cultivators, processors, or dispensaries who have a certificate of operation, which would be under the medical, may not be prohibited or limited by a municipal corporation or township from operating under the medical. So chapter 3796 is medical, so they would still be allowed to operate as medical, but adult use it could still be.
Here's the last part of what
Yeah,
you said.
I'm sorry, they can still operate as medical. I wanted to clarify. So they would still be allowed to operate as a medical dispensary unless that certificate of operation has been revoked. But adult use would still be prohibited, just for clarification.
Stephen Smith, 237 Violet Court, Newark. Just for comparison purposes, what are the restrictions for citing for establishments that sell alcohol? Refer to the law director on that.
What was the question?
What are the comparison? What are the restrictions for citing for establishments that sell alcohol?
And what do you mean by site?
The restrictions talking about for so many feet from schools, churches.
I would have to look at that. Peter,
Wondering if there was a similar sort of thing and whether there was any sort of study based on the incidents of alcohol related fatalities due to drunk driving or something based on the driving, marijuana use or what, these restrictions on the site. All in favor of moving this on to full council, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That is 1-5-0. And that is the conclusion of economic development. Capital improvement.
That's also.
Maybe.
You just can't have it. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Capital Improvements Committee to order. President, so Jude, Rath, Marmy, Lewis. First on the agenda is 24-57, a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service for the City of Newark, Ohio, to negotiate and enter into a purchase agreement without competitive bidding with Southeastern Equipment Company Incorporated for the purchase of an asphalt grinder. Mr. Director?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Marmer and I were talking too. That's going to put forth an amendment to this.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to pass, motion 24-52.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Chair, yes, I'd like to make a motion to amend 24-57 to add in the lease purchase option. This because the way that it stands, it is just to enter into negotiations and there's no funding behind it. So if we also add in the lease purchase, you won't have to come back in 2 weeks in order to get funding.
Second.
Yeah, we'll call for a vote to yes, the amendment. All in favor of amending resolution 24-57 with a lease purchase agreement? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. 5-0. Mr. Rhodes?
Thank you, Doug. What we have here is a piece of equipment that'll help bring up asphalt and allow us to do some more pavings of small streets, alleys, curb cuts, things of that nature. It's a piece of equipment that will help us progress our in-house paving.
This asphalt grinder, is that allowing us to recycle asphalt so we can burn it? I know smaller projects are coming out.
Now, we're not to that point. It's a conversation. Thank you. We're not there yet. The grindings are used all as base.
Any other question? Questions from the audience? Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, send this on to full council, so you might say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0. And with that, Improvements Committee stands adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, yeah, that was very
Even mobile.
I-
Yeah. It should have been better. Chicken wraps.
It's been, it was busy weekend. It's how the yard work.
Yeah, well.
2 years. It's like, yeah, this is, I was on the road and that's right. Yeah, I've never said.
I'm having a problem with it too. It's not good.
It's just. The glasses. You probably.
I
Yeah.
Last week.
At least.
Yeah, you're the big. In my phone, I also use it to get in a lot of stuff.
That.
Wow.
It's.
Changing the method. And my students, back there.
Well, yeah, I was just.
Right. Yeah, well, that's. And now, 3 times 9 holes. Just happened. Yeah. Yeah. I got 2 weeks, actually, that's 3 weeks. That's. I.